Maximizing Me 2.0, the power of networking. Welcome to module 3, how to network. And I'm going to spend a bit of time on this module because it's important. So how do we network? How do we connect with the people around us? How do we know a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend? First and foremost, who can network? Well, anyone can network. While it's true that some people are better at networking than others, we need to understand that networking is a skill that can be developed by anybody over time. And I know that those of us going through this course, that's why we are doing this course. We want to develop that skill in networking. So what are the basics? The first thing is that you need courage. You must be able to take the first step and say hello. You need confidence in yourself, not pride, but a healthy self-esteem. And for those of us that took my course in self-esteem, I know we've dealt with that. And if you are having challenges in with your self-esteem, you can always look for my course and go through it. It will be quite helpful. So you need to have confidence in yourself and you must be ready to learn new things. Remember to be humble, don't be proud. And be open to new ways of thinking, open to new information, open to things and ways of thought that you were not used to. So what do we do to plan for our networking activities? First and foremost, we need to ask ourselves what our networking goals are. What do we plan to achieve at any event? Where should we even go to network? Remember in the last module, we looked at different places that we could go to network. And I also asked us to write out other places and other areas where we could network. Where do my best prospects network? And who is great at networking that I can call and get help from? Remember, you don't have to do it alone. You could call a friend and say, you know what, I have this dinner party. Can we go together? So that, it will be easier when there are two of you and you're both networking together. It's a lot easier that way. And you can actually move around the room together. So you could call a friend to help you in your networking activities. Who are the prime people that you want to meet and why do you want to meet them? What organizations should I investigate and join? So if I'm a lawyer and I'm trying to move into the banking sector, for example, which bank do I investigate? Maybe I discover that I like GTB and I'd like to get a job in GTB. I need to know more about GTB, and GTB is having the fashion week. Would that be a good place for me to network? Would I really see the kind of people I need? Maybe that might not be the kind of place I need to be because I'm not looking for a fashion, or I'm not looking for fashion, I'm not looking for drinks, I'm looking for the bankers themselves. So maybe that might not be the best place for me to network for the purpose of what I am trying to achieve. So ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? Who do you want to meet? Why do you want to meet the person? What organizations or what industries should I investigate? What clubs should I join? And how much time should I commit to networking, especially when you're doing social media? How much time should you commit to networking on social media? So what do we even do on social media? Do we just take selfies and post funny pictures of ourselves, or do we actually have quality engagements on our social media platforms? So how should I connect? Start with your existing connections, your neighborhood, school associations and alumni, your church departments and fellowships. I know a lot of us are members of one department or the other. What do we do in these departments? What do we do in our school associations? Do we attend meetings? When they say old boys are having a meeting, are you there? The old boys association on WhatsApp, are you there? Are you the read-only type? You only read, you don't comment, you don't say anything, you don't wish people happy birthday, you don't give them a call. How active are you on these platforms? In your church, do you just go to church, do your bits and carry your bag and go home? Or do you actually interact with the people? How many people do you know by name? How many people do you know by their names? Do you know what they do? Do you know where they stay? These are some of the questions you need to ask yourself. Professional trade bodies. Professional trade bodies. What do you do there? What do you do there? What do you do there? Clubs, Ikoyi Club, Rotary Club. Social media again. What do you do on social media? Seminars and trainings. Seminars and trainings. What do you do when you go to such meetings? These are things you need to ask yourself. And finally, social events, weddings and birthdays. These are also wonderful places to meet people. When you get to a wedding or a birthday, do you just look for your family members? Oh, that's Uncle John and that's Auntie Titi. Let me sit down with them. Or do you go to look for people that you've never met before and sit down with them and use that opportunity to interact and engage with them? So what other places can you meet people? I'd like you to write them down in your notebook. And here are some pictures of my networking activities. These are my alumni associations. The picture at the bottom left is my colleagues from South Africa when I did my MBA. And here are we about a year later when we came for our graduation ceremony. And yes, I'm in contact with all of these people till today. Yeah. I even had a chat with one or two of them recently on call, on the phone. And it was nice talking to them. These are some more of my networks. These are some of my church networks. So how many people do you still remember from 10 years ago? Remember the picture I showed you about the Sound of Music actors that reunited 45 years later? I'm not asking us to go back 45 years because I'm sure most of us, that's a bit too long, but 10 years ago, how many people do you remember? And you are still in touch with them today. As in, you still contact them, you can still call them, you have their email. How many of your contacts, colleagues, classmates, whatever, that you knew 10 years ago and you are still in contact with today? I'd like you to write them down in your notebook. Now, this is me in 1988. And this is me and this young lady in 2018. That's about 30 years, if I'm correct. 88, 98, 2008. Wow. And 2018. Oh, wow, I'm old. So this is us, 1988, and this is 2018. So it's been a long while, but we're still in contact. And these are some of my secondary school classmates. We had a reunion. I think this was a 30-year reunion. Yeah, 30 years ago. Yeah, 30-year reunion. Quite an emotional time. It was a nice time. So how many of your contacts can you remember from quite way back in the day? So let's look at some basic guidelines in our networking activities. First and foremost, you need to pre-plan the events and dress appropriately. Formal events, dress formally. Social events, dress socially. Show up early and be ready to move around the room and have engaging conversations. Like I said, how do you want people that meet you for the first time to remember you? Do you want them to say, oh, I had a very engaging, interesting conversation with Lady Shire. I met her today for the first time. Or do you want them to say, oh my goodness, that woman was in fact, she was just making so much noise throughout no, you don't want that kind of negative reports. You want people to remember you and be eager to meet you and engage with you again. Prepare your 30-second personal commercial, sell yourself, but remember, don't overdo it. Be happy, be positive, and be enthusiastic. Build genuine friendships. And this is a friend of mine. I remember this was at, I think, her mom's 70th birthday. Her mother, unfortunately, is late now, but it was a nice time. And she's a good friend of mine, and we are still in contact today. I think over 20 years, and we're still together. So build genuine relationships. Don't start by asking, start by giving. Learn how to help others before asking them to help you. Like I said, don't ask for help when you first meet someone. It's not nice. But, learn how to help them first. And we'll talk about how we can do that. People value compassion and generosity. The value you add is more important than power or position. You have something that someone needs, just as much as you need something from someone else. Always remember that, because it's about exchange of value. No one is unimportant or insignificant. Respect all men regardless of their present state. Now, this one is very important because sometimes we tend to look down on people, especially domestic staff like our drivers, security operatives, cleaners. We tend to feel that they are not quality contacts. They are not important. Who do they know? And we go around targeting the managing director or the executive director or the head of business or the HR. That, we go around targeting people that we think are important. But we need to understand that every human being has value to offer. And so we shouldn't look down on anybody. We should respect all people. And I'll give you a quick example. I remember in my former office, one of the security operatives, very nice guy, he was a supervisor back then. And I took it upon myself to be friendly with these people. I have their names, I have their phone numbers. I send them word for today, every day. And I remember there's a day I left a huge amount of money in the office and I had already gone home. But because I had networked with the security operatives and I had their number, I just put a call through and they were able to secure my funds and keep them for me. And I remember that the gentleman in question, he waited for me to arrive the following day so that he could hand over my money to me. And this young man later resigned, and he's now taken up a political appointment in his state. He's quite a big man. He's quite influential right now. So now I have connections to him because I was pleasant to him and friendly to him when he was, still a security operative. So remember that. Respect everyone regardless of their present state. Now that's the end of module 3, and we will move on to module 4.